Hey there, awesome folks. This is Mentor Shelley, wanting to make sure that you become a better version of yourself professionally, guys. It has been a minute since you guys have seen my face in these YouTube slash Facebook slash, wherever you're watching this live streets. It's been a minute, but there's been a lot going on personally. So, got that stuff under wraps and we are ready to go. Guys, as you are coming in the chat, go ahead and like, comment, share, and subscribe to the YouTube channel as you are coming in. We are going to be talking about overemployment and is it still possible in 2023? Now, let's define what that is for some of you that are not familiar with what overemployment actually is. It is the concept that you can be working more than one work from home or remote job at the same time. Now, depending on how you use it, depending on how you flex it, depending on how what sector or industry that you're in, this can become easy or it can become difficult. I am always a proponent, as you guys know on this YouTube channel. If you don't know, you're going to know today. I'm always about enriching your own personal economy. So, of course, working two full-time remote opportunities is going to enrich your economy that much more, right, guys? So, in the stuff that we've been dealing with for the past couple of years, um, overemployment became a coined term, a very solidified term. Of course, there are employers that are hell bent now, especially especially in the last year, with things going back to normal somewhat. Um, they're now vehemently against. Some employers are straight up saying, "Oh well, if employees are doing overemployment or they're working two remote jobs, they're stealing from the company. They have no loyalty." Listen, when it comes to your own personal economy, if you're able to do both jobs well, I'm all for getting your money. Okay, so I asked a question, and I want to make sure you guys get what you need from this today. Are you still able to do overemployment in 2023, especially with the fight that a lot of employers are putting up? Yes, it is still possible, guys. Let's jump in. This is the first article I wanted to just touch on. Secret Millionaires. These Secret Millionaires. This article was written by a Katandria Maria almost a week ago. Said since COVID-19 broke out on social distancing becoming the norm, remote work has become more popular than ever. Last year, of course, this article was only written a week ago. Last year, 15% of U.S. U.S. worked from home. Along with lockdowns, travel restrictions, remote work allowed individuals to work from the comfort of their homes. It wasn't the ideal situation, but it changed how the world worked. Nothing wrong with that. Moreover, it allowed many employees to break free from the confines of traditional office spaces and skip the hour-long commutes. This, in turn, gave more control over their work-life balance. While there's no denying that remote workers offer flexibility and convenience, some even wonder if it could also offer a path to riches. The answer is quite surprising. Many remote workers took on multiple remote jobs during the past few years and learned that the changing work landscape offered more money. Listen, business owners want to increase their revenue. We, as career professionals, want to make sure that we increase our revenue as well in the form of a second job. Of course, it was stressful, but they also realized they could double their income by successfully managing two full-time jobs at the same time. But if working two jobs was easy, why isn't everyone doing it? It's not as easy as people may make it out. Of course, guys, if you are in the chat, say hello, how you doing? If you're listening right now, definitely hit me up, say hello. Let me know if you guys have questions in regards to this, even before I get too far in this article. I want to make sure that we're truly being of service today. And I want to make sure that if you are considering still doing overemployment in 2023, then stick around. We're definitely going to go through some strategies that you can use to make sure you can stay involved with that. All right. Now, the changing landscape of remote work. Remote work has created convenient and productive workspaces. It also paved the way for better employee-employer relationships and helped to establish trust between the two. With the growing trend of hybrid and remote work, there has been an increase in the number of remote employees taking on multiple jobs simultaneously, causing a boost in income growth for many. I will personally attest to the small space of time that I was able to do that. I was able to pay off some significant debt. So it is very enriching to my personal economy. Of course, guys, as you're coming in, go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe, share if you guys have had experience with overemployment as well. Put a 1 in the comments if you have ever been overemployed with 2 remote jobs, and make sure that if you have insight as well, go ahead and share it in the comments. All right, let's continue. Jerry Lee, a TikToker, highlighted his new development by sharing the story of a friend who doubled his wealth by doing 2 jobs remotely. Jerry told his followers that his friend now made money to the point where he could afford materialistic luxuries available on the market. A Tesla, to be specific. Oh, you making that kind of money. All right, then. And his friend wasn't the only one cashing in on this. Jerry pinpointed the fact that many individuals are now working as many as 5 jobs and earning a whopping $1.2 million a year, as much more than they can manage to do in a few years. I'm going to say there's a limit to this, but let me continue. I'll touch on that in a minute. However, working multiple jobs simultaneously has overcrowded the labor market. This, in turn, has created a scene widely referred to as overemployment, as we did go over the definition, of course. Overemployment occurs when an employee takes 2 jobs to boost income and professional growth. It may be done for various reasons, obviously to enrich your pocket, such as boosting earnings, achieving financial goals, or taking advantage of available opportunities. According to one statistic, 70% of Americans seek a side hustle or extra income. But the question is it really a good idea? What do you mean if it's a good idea? Listen here. When I'm enriching my own personal economy, it's always a great idea. However, you have to do it with strategy, folks. All right? Let's see here. Let's go back to this. And of course, is working 2 jobs a good game plan? Kay, another internet user, and Jerry Lee definitely think so. Kay went online to explain how she manages multiple remote jobs and increase her income. Lee highlights that a significant percentage of remote workers, between 35 to 79%, are engaged in overemployment simultaneously, taking on multiple jobs and boosting their income streams. It seems to be working out well for them without any consequences. The pros and cons of a double gig with anything. About 79% of the remote or hybrid workers are working 2 jobs at once. The obvious pro of working multiple jobs has been the extra cash available to these remote workers. Some workers have claimed to be making as much as 7 figures due to overemployment, while also gaining valuable corporate experience, all from the comfort of their own home. While financial necessity drives some of the extra work, others may be motivated by potentials for substantial earnings, provided that they manage their responsibilities and their employers approve. However, working multiple jobs isn't easy. In fact, it can be stressful and time-consuming. Successfully managing multiple jobs at once, depending on the nature of the job, your workload, and your ability to maintain a balance between them, which can quickly become complicated, stressful, and even overwhelming for some individuals. Is it ethical? What? Well, the debate on whether it's ethical or not seems to be ongoing. While some employers believe that working 2 remote jobs is like stealing and involves lying to an employer, others believe otherwise. And guys, I have the link of this article in the show notes as well. I'm going to stop there as far as getting that perspective, showing you guys, listen, there are there's people on all sides of the spectrum. What do what do you really think? It is up to you. I personally, don't tell nobody. But I am not working remotely now. But had I had the opportunity, I would be overemployed to this day. Had it been up to me. I'm just saying. I'm all about enriching your own personal economy. However, you want to make sure that when you do so, that you're doing so with strategy and intention. So, of course, the first question, of course, you guys can go over the rest of the article on your own. One of the first questions I want to put before you guys is, how can we still show? Let me go ahead and put the question on the screen here. How can we still do overemployment when so many employers are hell bent on discouraging people from doing it? You have to, number one, be with the right employer. Let's start there. Yeah. Because there are some employers that think that they don't want, they're thinking this is a loyalty thing when it's really a business transaction. There's some employers that are so, um, to be honest with you, you have some of them that are literally afraid the employee is going to work or be able to have enough capital to make a decision on whether they want to be there anymore or not. There's some employers that have that fear. Have that fear, why don't you? However, what I am not an advocate for is for an employer attempting to do one of two things: attempting to try to control the employees' movements and what they do outside of work. Because the last time I checked, everyone that's working in some form of a corporate setting, most are 18 and older. So each of these people have the opportunity to do what they want with their time outside of regular work hours. So there are some employers that are vehemently against it, and there's some employers that are really doing their best to try to work with you, because there's some employers that are open to it. There's some they're going to attempt to try to get you to give up, because I did also talk about HR's perspective based on a SHRM article that I found, and I talked about that in the last video that was released yesterday. And a lot of those employers will want to sit, if they are not like ready to fire you right away. A lot of those employers will want to adjust your salary so you'll quit the other job. They try to incentivize you to do that. At the end of the day, you guys are adults. I don't think that an employer should influence your decision, as long as you're not breaching any. We'll get into that in a second. Make sure it is still very viable. I want to make sure I answer the first question. How is it that we can still do overemployment in 2023? It is still very viable in certain sectors. It's just not as easy as it was maybe last year or the year before, because there's a lot of employers that are now putting either hybrid schedules, requiring the employees to come back to work in either 1 or 2 days a week or 3 days a week or a certain amount of times per month. And then you have other employers that cut work at home out altogether. They don't want to do that anymore because they feel like their business model works best when people are in the office, which, if you really peel away at it, it's more of a mindset than anything else. Some of those employers are full of malarkey. Let me just put it out there. I'm not even going to sugarcoat that. Some of those employers are fearful, and they're operating from a place of emotion, not logic. So it is still very viable, but it's not going to be as easy. Make sure you look for employers that have flexible schedules, that are willing to sit down with you, and that you are making sure, before you even jump into the overemployment space, please read your employment agreements. Please read READ. Read and understand your employment agreements to make sure that you are not breaching any employment agreements. You're not breaching. Um, you're not working for the competitor, so to speak. You're not breaching any non-compete clauses that are in your employment agreement. So, yes, it is very viable, but those things are key. It is still viable. There are opportunities out there. I would even go as far as saying making sure that when you do obtain second or third employment, there are some people that can handle more than two. I'm not one of them. I can deal with two and and then, then there's other things. So, and there's some people that are doing overemployment in a completely different capacity. It's not necessarily two full-time jobs, but they have a regular job and they also have their side hustle or their business that they're building on the side. That could be considered overemployment too, depending on how flexible you are with your current job and with your side hustle. So it just depends. All of us out here are trying to enrich our own personal economy, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I'm always of the mindset, make sure you have the proper strategy in place. Okay. So it is very possible, to answer the first question, it is very possible that you can do it. However, make sure you have a strategy in place. Number two, you're not breaching any non-compete agreements, or you're not breaching any employment agreements in the process. Number two, question: what can be done to overcome the challenges some employers place in the way for overemployed people? Guys, if you have questions or if you have comments in regards to this subject, please go ahead and drop your comments in. If you have been or you're looking to become overemployed, go ahead and say me in the comments, so I know you guys are listening, and we can definitely discuss some other strategies as well while we are on the show tonight. So, what can be done to overcome those challenges? Number one, make sure you're working for an employer that is flexible in that area. Have a hypothetical discussion. I would definitely start there. Do you, are you guys open to people working an additional job remotely, or are you guys against it? Based on what the employment agreement says, there's nothing that says that you disagree with it. So have a discussion with your current employer. If you're looking to take that direction as far as your own personal economy and finances are concerned, if you want to go that route, do your homework, do your due diligence, folks. It is imperative, because you don't want to end up in any legal trouble. You also don't want to end up in any kind of malarkey as far as possibly getting fired from job number one because you're pursuing job number 2 and 3. Okay? Do your due diligence. Do your homework. If you're going to be overemployed, make sure you're taking those necessary precautions. Have a conversation. Are they open to it? I wouldn't say let all the information out right away, but at least check the temperature of your current employer. And of course, knowing what the non-compete says also helps. If I gave the example even in the last video, if you know you're working for Coca-Cola, if you try to get a job with Pepsi, it's going to be a problem. They're direct competitors, folks. There's going to be some kind of non-compete clause in your employment agreement. You want to make sure you're being wise with your decisions here. Okay? Of course. Oh, hey there. That's let me make sure I say this right. I'm going to just say your name, Craw. I'm sorry. I hate to mispronounce the name here, but your question is it possible? It is possible. Full remote is a must-have. The best environments are corporations, and avoid the same industry to avoid legal issues. Those are great tips. Having it fully remote is absolutely necessary because it gives you the flexibility. You want to make sure that you're also, you're not breaching any employment agreements as well. So that is a great point. Thank you so much, Mr. or Miss Craw. I don't want to. I was trying to pronounce it. I'm probably gonna get tongue twisted here. As I attempt to pronounce that name. Thank you so much. We definitely appreciate your contribution. Of course, what are some of the strategies that are successful? Let me make sure I put that question in there. Third question, what are some of the strategies that are going to help you to be successful in overemployment? I know it is still possible, folks. It is still possible. What are some of the strategies? Be very strategic. If you're working, let's say job number one, if you're working 7 to 4, like 7 a.m. to 4 p.m., make sure the second remote job you have has an even or very flexible. Is it, find out before you accept this. Is it okay for me to work from 4 to 12, or do you have a flexible schedule? Is it do I have the time frame to be able to do, can I work within my own time frame to get this thing done? Strategy is important. Asking the right questions is very, very important. And of course, before I go any further, let us welcome Credit Solutionist. Thank you so much for welcome to the show, Credit Solutionist. We definitely, that is definitely a friend of the Mentor Shelley YouTube channel. And I want to make sure, guys, that you have what you need. So I'm putting these questions here because I don't want you to just say, okay, well, you're just saying it's possible, but how is it possible? Giving some prime examples here. For example, when I was doing it, I had a one job in the mornings that I started at pretty much very early, like 6 in the morning. And then around 3 or 4 o'clock, I finished the duties for that job, and then started 3, 4 in the afternoon all the way till 12 at night. I'm not sitting up here saying that it's easy, folks. I would never tell you that. It's not easy. But those checks, cha-ching, 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 those checks were worth it because I was able to really put a significant dent in some of the debts that I had. And I was able to take care of some other pending issues as well. So it definitely provided the economic support necessary at that time. So I will definitely say it is very possible, but you have to be strategic. Okay. Second thing, scheduling. Please be very mindful of, don't make sure you don't have meetings at the same exact time. And if that becomes an issue, you want to make sure that you're, number one, you're keeping up with your schedule at least 2 weeks ahead. Let's say for job number one, you have a Wednesday 2 o'clock meeting. And then for job number two, you have a standing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday meeting. But there is some flexibility there. Do your ever their best to plan accordingly. Just let them know if it's around the same time as the other meeting. Is it, can we meet up afterwards, or can we meet up before? So you're not expected to be in two places at one time. We are all human at the end of the day. But scheduling, making sure that your meetings, or depending on what industry you're in, and you're able to, to flex and plan accordingly, make sure you don't have meetings that are overlapping, folks. That's just common sense, but you'd be surprised how uncommon common sense is these days. Scheduling is very important. You have to keep up with your schedule and keep all of that in a personal schedule. Do not, I'm going to say this, please do not put meetings for either jobs on each other's work calendars. Keep this on your personal calendar, please. Yeah. Or if you have to put the meetings on work calendars, make sure you're blocking out times for the other one. Okay? Do not put, meeting for this, meeting for that. And literally give yourself away if you want to keep your business or your overemployment confidential. Because unfortunately, you have some coworkers that are looking for reasons and ways to rat you out. keep your overemployment business to yourself, unless there's some kind of an employment agreement that requires you to be forthcoming with that. Otherwise, zip it, keep it to yourself. It's like if you won the lottery, you want to make sure you cover your face so nobody's coming after you for your money. Okay? So that's another. Make sure you're scheduling accordingly. Okay, and I'm going to say this one more time. I know this is going to sound like I'm beating a dead horse. Please, folks, read and understand your employment agreements and the non-compete clauses that may be included in them. This is key because this can also read your handbook. They don't give it to you for fun. I'm sorry, this is the HR part of me speaking at this point. They don't give the handbook to you for fun. They give it to you because you're supposed to adhere to that as an employee. Oh, what a concept. You're also going to be liable for it if you're not, and you can be written up for that information if you are not complying with it. So, those are just 3 things that I want to make sure that I mention. Yes, overemployment is a very viable option right now in 2023, but it's not as easy as it was in 2022 or in 2021. You have to approach it with strategy and intention, folks. And of course, if you have questions, guys, go ahead and drop them in the chat, or if you have constructive feedback to add to the show tonight, please go ahead and drop that in the comments below. And of course, guys, if you are looking for help to strategize, if you're currently already overemployed or you're looking to get overemployed, make sure you have the proper strategies to do so. And of course, if you need help from me directly, you can go to mentorshelley.com/consultations. I am more than happy to help you with this strategy based on your specific circumstance, based on the specific jobs you are wanting to add to your plate if all of them are remote. Mr. or Miss Cross specifically said they have to be fully remote, and you want to make sure you work in different industries so you're not making that whole non-compete. You're not clashing with industries, or you're not clashing with, competing companies, because that can cause a lot of other issues. Guys, of course, I'm also here if you are, if you have just general questions in regards to just working, if you have questions in regards to resumes and interview coaching and things of that nature, the consultation link is also there for that. But if you just have general questions about working, or if you have general questions in regards to just overemployment in general, you can definitely go to mentorshelley.com/contact. You can leave me a voicemail or an email message. I am more than happy to return your voicemail or email within 24 hours, guys. You guys don't have any other questions? Does anybody want to come up and kind of add to what we've already discussed? If you want to, I can definitely drop the link so you can join me on the live. I'm going to give it a couple minutes. Let me know if you guys have additional questions as far as just the job market is concerned, the job search. We do have some other lives coming up, some other live shows. We're going to be discussing. We discussed quiet quitting quite a bit in previous lives that I've done on this channel. We're going to actually be discussing some other concepts called loud quitting. Oh boy. The job market is always giving, is it not? So, guys, if you have other questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments below. If not, I do appreciate every last one of you that joined in on the conversation and contributed their thoughts, questions, and things of that nature. And of course, if you want to work with me one-on-one, we can definitely do that at mentorshelley.com/contact as well. But guys, I want to make sure you become a better version of yourself professionally, but I also want to make sure that in the overemployment space, you are using the opportunity to enrich your own personal economy. And that's what overemployment is truly all about. All right, guys, take care. This is Mentor Shelling, wanting to make sure that you become a better version of yourself professionally as you enrich your own personal economy. You guys have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Take care. Bye bye.